Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Edith, and I like to read books and yap about them to you guys. And today we're doing something outside of my comfort zone, because I don't know this saying. There are probably plenty of sayings about going outside of your comfort zone, something about how to grow, you need to go outside your comfort zone, stuff like that. We're doing it through books, mostly because I have become bored with my reading comfort zone. To explain, my comfort zone for me is romance, mainly romance. Lately, it has kind of become Lately, it's kind of become slashers and horror books, which those I'm not tired of, but I've also read a bunch of them. I would also say thrillers used to be my comfort zone, but lately I haven't been in the mood to read a thriller for the past 6 months. So we're not going to force myself to read any thrillers. Like I said, we're going to be reading outside of my comfort zone, which could mean anything. Here are the 3 books that I have thought about using for this video, that I will try to stick to, but I won't force myself to do it, because I am at my core a mood reader. So we have 3 books, and they're all hardcovers, which alone shows you something about them, and 2 of them are non-fictions. I know, who is she? Anyway, we have, and this one I've been talking about for so long. I just mentioned it in a video that I wanted to read this before the year ends. I mentioned it in my summer and spring TBR, so I need to get to it, which is Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And if you don't know, this is a self-help book. If you don't know Mel Robbins, where have you been? She's basically everywhere. She has a podcast, she's on like different social medias, and basically I liked her podcast, sort of, but I'm not good at podcasts. Yeah, I'm not good. I haven't been doing stuff where I can listen to podcasts in the background. Maybe that's more the problem. And then I picked up, I would actually say I really love this genre. I just don't read it enough to want to call it my comfort zone. It is in fact The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop, and I love memoirs. I have, however, only read like 3 memoirs in my entire life. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've read 4 in my entire life, and I have loved every single one of them. And I love Gilmore Girls. I love Kelly Bishop. This seemed like a no-brainer. So this one I'm actually excited for. I don't think I'm gonna start with it though. Don't ask me why, because I don't want to. And last but not least, a book I've mentioned in another video before, Good Material by Dolly Alderton. To be fair, I have no idea what genre this is. I wanted to read it in my reading books I know nothing about video, because I know nothing about this. Except for the fact that I know Dolly Alderton because I've read and loved everything I know about love by her. But this isn't a memoir. I'm pretty sure it's fiction. But it might just be a literary fiction, which, to be fair, I do love a literary fiction, so it's not that outside of my comfort zone. We've come to the hard decision, though. Which of these should I read first? And I kind of think we should start with the one I think might be most out of my comfort zone, which would, in fact, be Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. So do you think we're going to start here? Like I said, it's a self-help book. It's about, she says 2 simple words will change how you think about your entire life. If you're struggling to achieve your goals or feel a little happier, the problem isn't you. The problem is the power you give to other people. In this book, you'll learn how 2 words, let them, can set you free from the opinions, drama, and judgment of others, free from the exhausting cycle of trying to manage everything and everyone around you. And then she talks about that. She wrote this with her daughter. I've heard her talk about it on her podcast. I heard a bunch of people who don't normally like self-help love this. I've also heard some opinions, and I feel like that might be me, where it's like you read it and it's like, yeah, well, I know all of this. I just don't do it. But this is gonna be the first one we're gonna read. So at some point today, I will be starting this. I'm actually really excited. I have heard great things, and perhaps it is exactly what I need at this moment, a little bit of self-help. So we're gonna be reading that. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Wow, I've been yapping for a long ass time. Well, let's get into it. So, I have in fact been laying outside for the past like 2 hours or something, reading. Maybe not 2 hours completely, but close to it. The Let Them Theory. And I am on page 109, which is 35% through it, which alone should speak to something. I'm enjoying it. I really am. And a half of this already, and I knew it. I knew it was gonna be like that, like this. I've only put 4 tabs in, but I've underlined a bunch of stuff. And a lot of it just relates so much to my life recently. The first thing I read where I was like, yep, this is gonna hit. It's literally on page 2 is where I put my first little tab in, and it says, "But you wanna know the funny thing about being stuck? I knew exactly what I needed to do, and yet I couldn't seem to do any of it." In between there's like a list of the stuff she needs to do, and I just related. I read it and I was like, yep, my biggest fucking problem lately is I know what I need to do, I just don't do it. And then I feel like this actually, to me, is a sentence that explains perfectly what I feel like this theory is gonna be to me personally. It is literally on page 18 under the section that is called "What is the Let Them Theory?" Basically, when you stop trying to control things that aren't yours to control, you stop wasting your energy. You reclaim your time, your peace of mind, and your focus. You realize that your happiness is tied to your actions, not someone else's behavior, opinions, or mood. And already just reading this, I keep thinking about places in my life where I could put it in, or like where I could implement it. Like, let me see if I can find it. She says here, "The fastest and most effective way to start using the Let Them Theory is to rise above the countless tiny stressors you face every day." And one of the tiny stressors she meant was the never-ending notifications on your phone, the slow internet connections, the unexpected changes in plans, meetings at work, all of that kind of stuff. So the small everyday stuff that you let you stress out. And I underlined the slow internet connection because I am the type where if my computer takes more than 2 seconds to load something, I will start punching the keyboard and getting annoyed, and it will in fact ruin my mood. And I just could not think about that when I was reading that. I was like, yep, I know that that's so stupid, and that I need to look at the computer and just think, you know what? Let the computer be a little bit slow. Like, it's not ruining my day, or shouldn't ruin my day, that my computer took 2 seconds longer than I wanted it to do something. I just turned into an inspirational speaker reading this book. It makes me think I need to just pick up more self-help. I think I read like 1 or 2 self-help books before that I was like, yeah, no, I didn't like this, and therefore I tell myself I don't like the genre. Maybe it's also just right time. Like, maybe the mental situation I'm going through lately is just the perfect reason why I need this book. I'm definitely enjoying it, if you can't tell. I'm gonna quit yapping about this, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from reading, but I am going to read more today and update you guys throughout it. So, I am definitely, however, loving this, and I'm so happy I picked it up finally. I'm so happy I forced myself to start with this, because otherwise I could have pushed it to the end, and then at the end I could have been like, yeah, no, we're not reading that. Instead, here we are, reading it, doing it. I'm gonna put that away, and I'm going to go do something productive, because otherwise I'll sit at the end of the day and be like, why didn't you do this? So, I'm gonna do that. And I'll see you all once I have anything else to update about. Who would have thought we were gonna be here 3 days later for me to say I finished this? I'm shocked at how, first of all, fast I feel like I went through this, and also how great I think this was. I'm not gonna give it a rating because I don't like to give nonfiction in general a rating. This was the right time for me to be reading this book. Again, I feel like I don't have many new thoughts. It was all the way through stuff that I feel like you know, or at least I knew, but getting it told the way she did literally felt like getting the truth shoved in your face, even when you might not want to at times. It just kept going. Every time I was like, yeah, no, I know this. Then she said something in another way where I was like, oh, well, excuse me, do not call me out like that. This was great, amazing. I'm so happy I read this right now. All right, so I think I'm gonna read this because I already did the entire, like, reading a book I wasn't excited for, and I feel like it's gonna be the same thing with this. So I wanna read a book that I know I'm excited about, and I know it's like a book I'm planning on reading soon anyway. So, as always, most importantly, off with this first. Look how gorgeous she looks. I mean, she still looks gorgeous, but it's just like a little how she looks back then. This is the book we're reading. I'm not gonna start it right now, but I will see you all once I decide to start it. It's officially time to talk more about books. I finished The Third Gilmore Girl, and I did in fact finish it in 2 days, which is pretty good. Like, I flew through the first 2 books in this video so fast. This book, it was so great. First of all, her writing. I feel like that's one thing with memoirs. Like I said with the other one, I'm not rating them. I would never feel right rating someone who's genuinely just putting their life story down. But if we have to say anything, I remember when reading Matthew Perry's book that I was definitely reading it and thinking, it's very obvious this person isn't a writer. And of course, they aren't writers, they're literally everything else. But some places in that book could have used a better editor. This was actually written in a way that made me think Kelly Bishop could be an author. This was just so amazing. I wish I had the money to listen to the audiobook, because the idea of hearing her own voice put this story to life sounds amazing. Maybe one day I'll buy the audiobook just to re-listen to it. This was interesting because I didn't know that much about Kelly Bishop, except for the fact that she's in Gilmore Girls and the fact that I love Gilmore Girls. I'm afraid you can hear the wind. It's very windy, but I cannot close my windows because, in case you can't tell by looking at me, I'm sweating my balls off. I'm sweating everywhere. Yeah. Anyway, back to the book. It was interesting because I didn't know that much. I didn't know she started out as a dancer or did Broadway or anything like that. And those are all like very interesting things. I might not be big on ballet, but hearing about it anyway, I don't know why my phone just cut me off or anything, but you can hear the wind and my phone's about to die, so we're gonna make this really quick. I loved this. I thought it was so interesting to hear about her life, and she's been through so much, and it was just, I just love memoirs, and I'm so happy that I have a bunch of them on my shelf that I haven't read yet, because I love getting into a person's life. And then we have the third and final book. I decided to scrap Good Material. Might be stupid because it's literally, I'm pretty sure it's on one of my TBRs, whatever. And I'm picking up The Predator by Runix, which is a dark romance. It's supposed to be like, all right, it's happened, and we all know this almost kind of had to happen. I'm DNFing Her Soul to Take. I'm not even sure if I made any video of me being like, I switched from the one book to this book and still ended up with a DNF. So I started off wanting to read The Predator because I'd heard it was great for beginners, all of that. Started it and it was in third point of view. And I know the entire idea is to read outside of my comfort zone, but I felt like dark romance was already out of my comfort zone. Adding third person narrative into that, absolutely not. I couldn't do it. The idea of having to read a spicy book with spicy scenes from third point of view, absolutely not. Sorry, there's a spider and I have to keep an eye on it. Anyway, so I went into this one, which was a good book. It was a good choice. First of all, it's gonna be a book club pick for my book club in a couple months. So I was like, you know what, let me just give it a try. I am 36% into it and I'm DNFing it. I can't do it. And I feel like I have every right to do that because I still gave it a shot. I just think if anything I learned from this video, it is to still try and read outside my comfort zone, but like, except if you're reading it and it's not for me. But that also means we're done with today's video. And to like sum it all up, we had 3 books. I did start The Predator, but I read two chapters. I think I read 1 chapter actually and then quit it, so we're not gonna count that one. We started off with The Let Them Theory, which I ended up loving. It definitely made me think I need to branch out and maybe try some more self-help books, some of the ones that are very famous, because maybe I'll end up loving them. I do also think a big part of this was right time. It was definitely the kind of like stuff I needed to be told right now at this exact point in my life. But I do think she wrote this very much for everybody. Sure, it focuses a lot on like adult things, so I wouldn't read this if I was like 13, maybe I would. Maybe there's some stuff in here that you could still use, but I would maybe wait a little bit more because a lot of it is like how you apply the theory to adult relationships, workplace, all of that kind of stuff that you don't really have to deal with until you get older. And there's a lot of stuff in this I don't have to deal with yet, but now I know it and I know I own this book, so I can go back and reread it if I need a little reminder in the future. And then we read a memoir, The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. And this was also so great. I have a big love for memoirs, and honestly, I want to read so much more of them. I own a bunch more, so we're definitely getting into this year because the entire experience of reading about someone else's life, and especially in industries I enjoy like music, movies, even authors, stuff like that, is so interesting. And this also included stuff I maybe didn't know that much about and made it interesting to hear about. So, and then we have our DNF, Her Soul to Take. I don't even have anything bad to say about the book except for the fact that I just didn't connect. I just don't connect to a lot of dark romances. I need more focus on like the emotional connection with the people than the focus on like a dark plot and spice, basically. But I'm still gonna continue to try and branch out. I'm still gonna try and continue to try some dark romance books every once in a while. I just refuse to put myself through books I know I will not love, and I know I won't love this one. Maybe I'll pick it back up sometime, especially for book club, but it's not right now. Now it's not the right time. So that does in fact mean we are done with this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, comment down below if there's any of these genres that you're like, oh, I also never read these, but you made me want to read them. And don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get notified every single time I post. Without further ado, I'll see you all in the next video.